ECM. Same time on 3.
Okay. Sorry, it's so crowded. All right. Okay, all right. Is it? No, don't worry. It's okay. All right.
Good morning, everyone.
Stop the phone.
We're just starting. The time is just 10 o'clock. And we want to get started because the ambassador of Nigeria is down here. And I promise that the program will run fast. I will be out here by 2 p.m. So thank you for coming. This is an event organized by the Irene Menakaya School in Nigeria, in special consultative status with the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations, in partnership with and the Center for SDG Global Education USA, in collaboration with other entities. The essence is to address the last concluded high-level political forum outcome in line with the International Day for Education, which was declared January 24 this year, and to address it with respect to the education in community classrooms. We all know that the SDG is focused on leave no one behind and the 5 Ps. And we are looking at the 5 Ps as people in the community, the planet as the environment of the community, the cultural inhabitants of the community, the prosperity, the progress and development of the community, the peace. Of course, when we look at the people, the progress and the situation in the environment, we talk about the peace. And also, we also think about partnerships. That's why you see most people looking different, because we are into partnership with them with regards to education, achieving quality and inclusive education in community classrooms. So these 5 Ps are very vital to what we are doing in line with the agenda of International Day for Education. And of course, the SDG4, we all know that the United Nations is working on the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and the Goal 4 states on quality and inclusive education for lifelong learning. And that is our main focus. How do we move this agenda, the 2030 agenda, to suit with the education in rural communities? Like the country where we are, in most rural communities, we don't have accessibility, we don't have what takes to have quality as in urban cities. And that is one of our concerns. And it's not only in my country, it's also across the world, the community classrooms. How do we have infrastructure that have quality? How do we have teachers, educators in the community that are ready to live and ensure that everyone there gets quality education? How do we again improve the teaching career of teachers, building their teaching and learning capacity? How can it be done? These are one of our challenges. The infrastructure, the curriculum at start. I always tell people that when a child in Africa goes to school, a child that is 2 years and a little is there, if he goes to school and the first day in school is taught of A is apple. This child has never seen apple. He has never tasted apple. He has never touched apple. Then we start our reading from day one as cramming. It is sung, it is read, it is repeated. A is apple, Z is zebra. Unlike in developed world, where even before you start the school, the child from day one has started tasting apple. So these are some of the challenges. How do we now achieve quality and inclusive education in this kind of communities? There are communities where qualified teachers don't want to go and teach. Now, instead of going there to teach, they rather resign and start something else. You see, so these are the challenges that are confronting the community classroom. And Nigeria launched International Day for Education as January 24 every year. And we, in my own capacity as a civil society, through the Center for SDG, Global Education USA, we have been focused on Education Solutions Initiative along the SDG and the 2030 Development Agenda. The mandate of 2030 is fast moving. We now have 11 more years, 4 years already gone from 2015 to 2016. So we are now working with 11 years, and within these 11 years, how do we achieve quality and inclusive education in communities? And when we mean inclusive, all is inclusive. The teaching, the resources, the infrastructure, the culture of the environment, the community leaders, and everything that has to be included, the boys, the girls, even the adults. No one should be left behind. The less privileged, the underserved, all the migrant communities, what are they? What do we do to help them within these remaining 11 years to achieve quality and inclusive education? So basically, in the past 4 years, my organization has been trying to look at this aspect through education solutions. And then we are glad to build this in today in line with our agenda to launch an endowment fund as an initiative, as a community outreach project on SDG 4. And that is why we are here today. And I believe that at the end of this, I will be able to do justice to the theme of this conference. And without taking much of your time, I would like to call the chair and the chair to this event and other speakers to come to the high table. I want to call Mohammed, please. So I would like to hand over the mic to the chair of this section to do this opening statement.
Guests, distinguished delegation from New York, Brooklyn, Pennsylvania, Delaware, dear students, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the organizers, I would like to welcome you all to the Permanent Mission of Nigeria to the UN. My name is Mehmet Kılıç. I am the president of the Journalists and Writers Foundation. Today, we are gathered here for two occasions. First, it is the promotion of the International Day of Education and Sustainable Development Goal number 4, which is quality education. And the second occasion is the launch of the Barrister Juni and Ivina Menakaya Endowment Trust. As you may know, last year in 2018, the United Nations General Assembly proclaimed January 24, 2019 as the International Day of Education. This day is an important day that promotes SDG goal number 4, which is quality education for peace and development. Sustainable Development Goal 4, quality education, is at the core of the UN Agenda 2030 that aims to achieve 17 goals and 169 targets. United Nations and UNESCO is calling all member states, private sector, and the civil society organizations to increase their commitment to education as a force for achieving the sustainable development goals. We know that education is the key for curing our illnesses in the society. It is the only answer for sustainable development. The High-Level Political Forum 2019 also highlighted the theme of empowering people and ensuring inclusive and equality. How do we empower people? And how do we ensure inclusiveness and equality among people from diverse socioeconomic status? It is the SDG goal number 4. It is quality education that ensures inclusive and equitable quality education and to promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Today, despite significant achievements in terms of universal primary education based on the Millennium Development Goals, there are still some challenges that all states, all member states, and all societies face worldwide. I would like to share some statistics. Worldwide, more than 262 million children and youth who do not have access to education. 617 million children and adolescents cannot read or write, or they don't do basic math. Less than 40% of the girls in sub-Saharan Africa are able to graduate from the lower secondary education. And around 4 million children and youth refugees are out of school. So when we look all around the world, all these statistics gives us an idea that we have to dedicate more on education. It is not only the responsibility for member states, it is the responsibility for the private sector businesses. It is the responsibility for the civil society organizations. And I know that you are here because you want to take part in making change in the lives of the students from less privileged communities. The Education Solutions Initiative heard the calls of the United Nations and UNESCO to invest in education by establishing the Barista Junior and Irina Endowment Trust to provide quality education for students from less privileged communities. And Dr. Ada talked about this Education Solutions Initiative, and I would like to welcome her one more time to now or maybe later to talk about the trust and donor trust for later. Okay, now I would like to welcome Mr. Namadi Okechukwu Nize, Minister from the Permanent Mission of Nigeria to the UN, to deliver a speech on behalf of the Ambassador of Permanent Mission of Nigeria.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, the organizers of this event, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am here on behalf of the Ambassador, Permanent Representative of Nigeria to the UN, and the PGA-elect Professor Muhammad Tijani Bande, who is unapologetically absent. He is presently in Nigeria and has asked me to kindly represent him at this event. Definitely, we want to say that Nigeria government, and indeed the mission of Nigeria, the UN, supports the rest of this event. The issue of education definitely is very key and important to us. Like the last speaker said, January 24th has been declared as International of Education. It might just to know, but we know that Nigeria sponsored that resolution, and we galvanized members of the UN to ensure that it was passed. Why did we focus on that? Because it's It's quite simple. Over the years, we have understood and know the importance of education in development. The 17 sustainable goals cannot be achieved without education. That's the basic truth. If you look at the Western world today, most of the things that have gone through or yet, I mean the kind of innovations, impact that make more today is because of education. Without quality education, without education, there's nothing anybody can do. And it's on that basis that we said no. Focus should be based on education, especially for those of us from developing countries. We know in Nigeria today there has been this issue of basic education where we try to see if people can enroll in school, and that has been successful. But beyond that, we also have to look at the issue of quality education. It is one thing to have education, and it's another thing to have quality education. That is why the focus, even the PhD, the ambassador today has been elected as the next president of the UN General Assembly by the special grace of God, by next month he will assume his office. And he made education, quality education, as key area of focus throughout this period in the General Assembly. This is so because when you talk of poverty today in Africa, poverty in the world today, without education, can you ever cover poverty? That says no. Healthcare, the environment. You talk of 0-100, you talk of healthcare, you talk of housing for all, sustainable planet. Now, if you are not well educated, if you don't have quality education to be able to make an impact in the environment and society, how then do you think we can solve or achieve those 17 goals? It is on the basis of that we decided to sponsor that resolution. And thank God that we were able to rally around the whole UN to give support to that our resolution. And today, definitely more than anything else, we need quality education. If we are able to develop, because at the heart of development is nothing but education. So as this event is going on, the ambassador extends felicitations to the organizers and asks me to convey the support and support condition and our solidarity to you. That this issue of education is something that is at the heart of the focus of this PGA for this year and this year. Definitely, in the area of collaboration, we wish the mission and the UN Assembly will be there for you, to support you, and to ensure that together we are able to do something regarding quality education, especially in the developing countries. It is so because the issue of development, I think for us in Africa, some developing countries, we need development. Also, that we are grappling with a lot of issues to this world. And we are very much persuaded that if we do much, if we collaborate, partner together, give much emphasis and credence to quality education, we are able to impact our work today, change the way things are today in our communities. As a matter of fact, the impact comes from most all of us, from political corners, from the community, from the states, from the society. It is not only for the government to ensure quality education, everybody has a role to play. That's very important. The community, the states, individuals, NGOs, civil society groups. I remember in those days when we were growing up, the government have limited resources, which we all know. Most communities in Nigeria build schools and give to government. They build schools and give to government. Government will not provide the teachers. Students will not enroll. In those days, it used to be students have to walk long distance to access education. And that is not too good then. Because at that time, you have fewer students going to school. And if the enrollment, the school has limited number of people can accommodate. So you see, most students or people will be out of school. When the community effort and help, schools were built, government was able to ensure that the little people might enroll in school. So having achieved that, what's the next step? What's the next step? You have to now ensure quality education. How do you ensure that? That is why today our government has launched what they call the Homegrown School Feeding Program. Part of the issue is also the issue of feeding, nutrition. Because of poverty, most students feel was unable to eat. So we don't go to school hungry in the morning. And how can you then when you are hungry? The United government is providing food for periods in school. From grade 1 to grade 9. The essence is to ensure that students, as they go to school, they are able to learn. It's when you learn, you are able to impact, you are able to affect and ensure quality education. So let us, in the only two ways, do what we can contribute towards the good of education in our communities and states. Nothing is too small. Some of us come from communities. I mean, we can donate books, a lot of books here. Most people don't have access to internet. Here you have probably the Western world. But when you get back to Africa, probably, you don't have access to most of those places are not true. But here, it's a necessity because for you to make any impact, you have to research. That is why today, in most parts of the world, the major source of income is research and development. You need to research. Once you're able to research, you sell and you come. But where we come from, Africa descent, those things are very few can afford the internet. And you and I know the impact of internet today in our world. It is part of that education. How do you ensure that everybody has access to the internet? Because once we do that, we also contribute to quality education. Let's reflect and see what we can do to contribute to quality education, to education in our communities. It is on this note that I want to express our gratitude and thanks to the organizers of this program for finding the right and appropriate to come up with this event and program. We thank you for the foresight. I want to encourage you. The mission is already behind you. We are ready to partner with you. We are ready to support you in any way we can. We always count on your support and solidarity. Once again, I want to thank you all for coming and for listening. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, thank you so much for your valuable remarks. I agree with you that achieve 17 goals and 169 targets without quality education. That is for sure. And also, I had the pleasure of meeting with the ambassador of Nigeria in many occasions. And my last time that I had a meeting with him was with a delegation of youth representatives from different parts of the world. And I learned about the work that Nigeria is doing to empower young people through education, through entrepreneurial skills, through creating jobs for them. And I think that is the way to go achieve these SDGs. And I think I'd like to highlight a couple of things that Honorable Minister mentioned about the internet. And according to quality education, there are 4 C's that education has to provide to the students. These are communication, creativity, critical thinking, and collaboration. So the students that are getting their primary education, they have to be instilled with these skills in order to become productive citizens. So they have to have communication, they have to have internet access, they have to have access to the resources in order to connect with the world. And another thing is that we kind of like build schools, but that is not enough. We have to move on to higher education, right? Students, they have to go to university to get higher skills, to compete with their peers in the world. And is it enough? No. When they graduate from university, we have to create jobs for them, or we have to provide opportunities for them so that they can improve their entrepreneurial skills. I agree with the minister that it is not only the responsibility of the state, it is the responsibility of everybody, from an individual level to a communal level and to a global level. So thank you so much for your remarks, Minister, Honorable Minister. Now I would like to move on to our next speaker, Mr. Joe Omayekwa. And he's going to deliver a keynote presentation on addressing inclusive education in rural communities. Please welcome Professor Omayekwa.
Thank you very much. My name is Joe Mokwe. I grew up in Nigeria, and by God's grace, I find myself here in 1980 at Columbia University. Pursued my career after my doctoral program in mathematics. I took up a job with TechUni. From there, I moved to Touro College in 1987. I became the first chair of my department there. And why did I shift from where I was to Touro College? Because I've always loved to work with in areas that are disenfranchised, poor, and needy. Knowing my background, know that I never wore a shoe until I was 12 years old. Know that I had to go to fetch water every morning when I was in high school, bucket on my head, walk 3-4 miles to get home. Knowing that I have to take my bath in the river and get a bucket of water, carry it in my head to get home. So that my aunt, I used to live with a teacher. My parents thought that the best way to raise me is to send me to my uncle, the teacher in a primary school in some local area, and near my hometown. So I grew up in that environment. And being raised by a teacher, found my way to government college, and the rest is history, to where I am today in life. But having said this, I'm working with schools in areas here in New York City from 85, 86, 87. I find that Touro College, for example, gave me to see and have an insight. We moved the campus from Cairo Towers in Harlem to the South Bronx in New York. My eyes opened to the need to have inclusive education. I saw poverty in South Bronx. I can relate to my own background growing up. I saw gang violence. We put up a campus at St. Paul's Church in Washington Avenue in the Bronx. From there, we began to expand the college to Sunset Park and other places in the city.
And then,
And what I've been doing over the last several years, I've been working on something to deal with that. Everybody can remember being a child in school. You had little pets in the school. You had guinea pigs, you had rabbits. Some people in Africa might have had chickens or a goat out in the field. These animals did not contribute anything except for the knowledge of nature to the young people. But what I have done is, I have found a way to take an animal, actually an insect, that kids can raise and farm right there in their schools. And this insect will change the world. There's an insect called a black soldier fly that is indigenous to America. This little insect is going to be as important for the world as the honeybee is now. And everybody knows we could not survive if all the honeybees went away. What's going on right now is, in the developing world, we're not surviving because of sanitation problems. Huge sanitation problems where kids can't even go to school, where people's neighborhoods are all messed up, where the villages and the towns are overrun with garbage and human waste. This little insect, and you should write this down, it's called a black soldier fly. This little insect will consume all of that. Eat it all, right? And then this little insect will become himself the greatest animal feed or fish food, animal feed that anybody has ever had. This little animal will take the human waste that human people generate, and this little insect will create farming products that are the highest quality fertilizer that we need for all of our farms. All kinds of things we can do to add to the soil, to create a brand new soil. This insect, in cooperation with the farming technique that I created.
Quality education, and what are some of the ways that you and we can help for this in the interest? So we'll go with.
My name is Alma Nakaya, and I am a 10-year-old pupil of St Hilda's School in London, UK. I'm the first child of Dide and Thelma Menakaya, and one of the grandchildren of Bar and Mrs. Jeannie Menakaya. Today is indeed a remarkable day for me, as I have been invited to speak at a global event dedicated in the honor of my grandparents, Bar, Jeannie, and Mrs. Irene Menakaya. I feel so proud when my dad reminds me of the work my grandparents did in Nigeria, building the first ever pre-primary school in Onitsha, and how it helped my dad, his brothers, and thousands of other children go through school successfully. My dad told me that when he was younger, he worked really hard at school, copying information from the blackboard, writing in his exercise books, and using his local library to get information about his schoolwork. This was before the days of the internet, computers, iPads, and cell phones. He told me that sometimes the books were not available in the local library, and he had to borrow from his fellow friends. Books for his homework were also very expensive, and many parents could not buy the required books. My dad's experience at school is very different from my own learning today. At my school, I use whiteboards connected to the internet for my lessons, and the internet connects me to children throughout the world, where we can share ideas and solve problems together. The information on the internet is a lot, and I have learned how to focus my search and filter the appropriate information for my schoolwork. Not only that, my cousins in the United States and Australia have told me how activities outside the classroom, such as yoga, art classes, swimming, running, music making, thinking clubs, chess, and yes, Pick a Break Club, has enabled them to learn better in the classroom. We learn skills such as great communication and team working, and resilience, as we develop our abilities in this new dawn of child education and prepare ourselves as leaders of tomorrow. As flag bearers of a new dawn in child education, I can say that the way we learn is different from the way my dad had his education, but it's very much in line with the visions of our grandparents who were determined to ensure that every child has access to quality education that prepares them for their future. I am particularly touched by what my grandmother Irene did for girls' education in Nigeria as I start my final year at St. Hilda's. Together with my friends, colleagues and classmates, we continue to be part of their vision. I will work with my cousins, parents and family to ensure that we continue to promote and enhance the vision of our grandparents, providing quality education for our communities. What more can I say? My grandparents were great people and were great in service to their communities. I thank my parents for making me a part of this great vision. Thank you.
So my name is Chidem Nakaya, and I'd like to start by thanking the permanent representative of the Nigerian Embassy to the United Nations, his representatives, guest speakers, ladies and gentlemen. This is a bit of a journey, so I hope you follow me in this journey. In 1979, Nigeria was going through a major political revolution. That was the year that we were installing our first democratically elected presidential candidate after many years of military rule. But at that same time, there was a pioneering transformation unfolding in Anambra State, in the eastern part of the country. Our parents, Barrister Juni and Irene Menagaya, decided at that same time to realize their vision of setting up a pioneering education program for children in the state. You might ask, what's that about? This venture was new, it was untested, and they were building, in fact they built and opened the first ever school for children 2 years to 5 years. So that was what was different, because up until then schooling was from 6 rather than from 2. These children were what we call pre-primary, nursery or kindergarten, and then that was something very new. Let me tell you about my mom. She was a teacher who started her career in the 50s at a local church-run teacher training college called St. Monica's. She excelled in school, in class, but also in sports. She was a high jumper and represented her school, her region, and her state at various events. When she completed her education, she moved to Ibadan, which was in western Nigeria, about 500 kilometers from where she grew up. And then she started her teaching career in primary school, which was what she knew, and also started a new family with her husband, Jerry. He was a pharmacist and businessman at the time. But what struck her though was that she was unfulfilled by that career, and when she got to London in the 60s, she had a chat with her husband, and then they decided she should be trained to be a nursery school teacher. And she gained her certificate from University of London in the late 60s. Now, these days, you could have just said she would have turned around and settled in the UK, but the urge to make a difference was overwhelming, and she and her husband returned to Nigeria in the 70s. And as they say now, the rest is history. The rest of their life was spent dedicating their passion for education, their intellect, their financial resources, and professionalism in setting up and running an exceptional education institution for pre-primary, primary, and primary school children in Onitsha in the western Nigeria and eastern Nigeria. Now, they took a loan, 20,000 naira, and I wonder what that would be now in Nigeria, in today's money, from Union Bank. And they set about converting a disused factory into a purpose-built educational facility. And they named it International Nursery School. And the motto, "My child is my pride." And I remember then I was a young boy visiting the school, and what I saw were beautifully colored walls, lots of posters. A is for apple, B is for boy, X is for xylophone. Now, what's a xylophone? And what else? And lots of Play-Doh or plasticine, as we call it then, Lego bricks, Unifix bricks, and unlimited supplies of pencils and crayons, things that children can play with and create. And I remember also thinking, at primary school we had a battlefield to play with, and nothing there, but they had multicolored swings and slides and climbing blocks where they could play in a supervised setting, in a safe space. That was new, and that was fantastic for young children then. And in fact, the society was not prepared for it at the time, and they did not know what to do with it. So my mother was very much integral in developing the curriculum, teaching teachers, and also using her school as a place for teacher training. What I could say to you, but the society could not deny the academic and emotional advantage it gave those little boys when they transited to primary school. And they wanted to rush and be part of that. And that advantage did not stop in primary school. We could see that transiting as the children went from primary to secondary school, and from secondary to university, and from university into their professional careers. And so when I look at myself today as a neonatologist in pediatrics in London, or my brother, a gynecologist in Sydney, or my sister, who is a lawyer in Philadelphia, is my brother, another engineer in New York, it sort of tells me that actually that attention, that ability to support young children at that time actually made a difference to not only us, but to thousands of other children in Nigeria and wider world. The school was renamed Irene Menakaya International School in 1999 when they passed away, but it maintains its vision to make education accessible to all children, irrespective of their financial status. We've always granted scholarships and bursaries to families who could not otherwise afford education, and it's a practice we've continued. As considerate of their vision for quality education, we are determined to carry on their life's work in educating children and the wider community. Today, we are committed to broadening their work to include inclusive education in rural communities, and will strive to develop facilities and infrastructure for this model of education in Nigeria. This initiative will align the school with programs that aid the UN towards achieving its targets for United Nations SDG Goals number 4. And I pay tribute to my sister, Dr. Adam Menakaya, for her role in getting the UN to grant the school a special consultative status in 2017. What I can say today is that we are incredibly grateful for the opportunity to be part of this journey. It is new to us, as it was new to our parents 4 decades ago. But I know that with your support and with your and working with you in partnership with you and with the United Nations, we will achieve not only what our parents achieved, but also go beyond what they've done and help to transform not only individuals, but vast swathes of our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, His Excellency, the representative of the High Commissioner, Ambassador to the United Nations, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for your presence today. And without wasting much time, I think it's important to understand the origins and how we came about the launch or the development, establishment of the Barrister Junior and Irene Menaka Endowment Trust, what it has done so far, and hopefully where it wants to go for the next 10 years. So, following the adoption of the 17 SDG by the world leaders in 2015, the former Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Ban Ki-moon, called on civil societies to develop and implement activities that will ensure the success of the SDGs as we march towards the 2030 development agenda. In response to the Rebel Secretary General's call and under the guidance of His Excellency, Ambassador Dennis Antoine, the former ambassador of the mission of Grenada and Deputy President of the UN General Assembly's 70th session, an Education Solutions Initiative for SDG 4 and its 7 targets was established. Part of the objective of the Education Solutions Initiative is to increase awareness among stakeholders in education about the SDG 4 and its targets, and as well encourage teacher training in quality and inclusive education for lifelong learning. This initiative recognized the importance of involving educators and various stakeholders in education, students, retired teachers, and indeed the entire community to develop solutions to existing educational challenges and identifying gaps that hinder the promotion of lifelong learning as defined within SDG 4. About 4 years ago, the Irene Menaka School became a pilot center for community outreach on SDG, and subsequently transitioned to become a community school center with a focus on community education, consistent with the visions of the Education Solution Initiative. 2 years later, in recognition of the work it was doing, the school received a special consultative status from the Economic and Social Council at the United Nations. The school also became a member of the United States Federation of UNESCO Corps, Centers, and Associations. Subsequent to this success as a pilot community school center, the school board of governors established the Barrister Junior and Irene Menaka Endowment Trust as a project of the school to expand its support of the UN agenda on SDG 4. The trust developed an 11-year strategic plan committed to addressing the significant educational needs of the less privileged in the community as part of our contribution to achieving the targets set in the 2030 development agenda. This trust, being launched today, will continue to work within the vision of the Education Solution Initiative to provide solutions to the educational needs of the less privileged and encourage innovation in the classroom. The focus of the trust includes improving educational facilities and learning environment, providing scholarships and grants, and building the capacity of teachers. Since its inception, the Endowment Trust has partnered with the Department of Education of the Nnamdi Azikiwe University to provide yearly 100,000 naira grants and awards to the best graduating students in the adult education category. And also with the College of Education in Nsugbe to provide yearly 50,000 naira grants to the best graduating students in early childhood education. The Trust is also currently providing academic scholarships for 28 children from less privileged backgrounds up to primary, for their primary education, and indeed has partnered with the Maureen Brown Phillips Foundation to run yearly workshops that build the capacity of teachers in classroom management, teaching effectiveness, and teaching skills training. We thank Ms. Maureen Brown Phillips for her contribution to the work and foundation's work in Nigeria. Mr. Brown Phillips is here. But we know we can do more, and I hope that with your help today, with the launch of this foundation, we'll continue to do as much as possible to improve the quality of education we provide to the less privileged within our community. In this, we would like to expand the current school library to become a more community-focused library service. we would like to improve the school's computer laboratory to up to 50 computers with access to the internet. We'd also like to continue and expand the university scholarships and grants that we have for another 10 years. We would like to continue the early education scholarship programs to include up to 100 less privileged children within the community. At the same time, in the spirit of collaboration, to establish a global teachers' classroom that promotes teacher exchange programs from within and outside Nigeria. As a result, we would like to ask for cash and kind donations for up to $80,000 to assist this fund and this summer launching to continue the work that has so successfully done in the last 5 years. The trust is a registered entity with the United States Department of Treasury, IR Services. It has a EIN number, and donations to it are tax deductible. Checks to the fund should be written to Barrister J.U.N.I. and Arif Nanakaya Endowment Trust. And I hope that with this clarion call, our individuals here will find within their hearts to continue the work as defined by the ADG4 program. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now we would like to move on to unveiling the launch of the Enrollment Trust. I'd like to call upon the Menakaya family over here. Sir, you can stay here. I'd like to call upon Leila.
Your Excellency, you know Ambassador is not here because he's here with you. So what you have here is the banner of the trust. All we just want you to do is to unveil it, to present the trophy, and then you give us 5 minutes for us to play the Hand of Messiah in their honor. Thank you so much. So on behalf of the Ambassador and the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you. On behalf of the Ambassador, Permanent Deputy of Nigeria to the United Nations, Professor Mohammed Tijani Bande, it is my pleasure and honor to unveil this and the glory of God.
Thank
glory of God, the Father, God, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Thank you very much, sir. On behalf of our family, we want to say thank you for being part of this. I believe that parents are there's a very strong legacy in terms of, my child is my pride, which is the model of the school where our parents started the school. So they understood the importance of education. And that's why they also made sure that each and every one of us, 7 of us, me and the 7th, we were all able to go to school because they understood the importance of it and how impactful it could be to the society. Because education is a very vital tool that can actually help to boost the society that we all live in, that can help to build the future. So I want to say thank you and thank you all for the support. And we look forward to pray that this trust is going to create more impact, in the life of many people around the globe, as we continue to support and follow through our parents' legacy. Thank you all. Thank you so much, sir, for this support.
Well, thank you so much all. We could be seated. Our program has not ended. Thank you so much, Minister, for joining us. I know you have to leave. Thank you so much for being here. Now I would like to welcome Dr. Lester Thornhill to give a speech about the launch of the Enrollment Trust.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, honorable and distinguished guests. Welcome to such an auspicious event. I must say, it's my privilege and an honor to be here and to give a speech based upon the launch of something that will be seen and heard and lived about for generations to come, the Irene Endowment Trust. I will tell you a little, just in a few moments, I would love to share something with you. My mission with education is very personal. I grew up in a place where education, I remember the days going to school barefooted, had nothing to eat. We would eat the fruits of the trees and the sugar cane from the fields just before going to school. In those days, I learned the importance of education by selling snacks on the soccer field just to survive. But today I come to know a few words that I have chosen to take out of my vocabulary. And those words are, number 1, complain. I make a conscious decision not to complain. Number 2, blame. Number 3, justify. Number 4, prove. Number 5, the word impossible. Those words you will not find in my vocabulary. Because I will normally say, if it has been done before, it can be done again. And if it has never been done, I will be the first to do it. The word impossible is not part of my vocabulary. I am here to say, with such a trust, the Julie and Irene Maniaca Endowment Trust. It should not be taken lightly. I know we are all here today to see the launching, but many times we have seen launches, and then after the launch, we didn't see the continuation. For this trust to continue and the results to be seen, it will take us in this room and greater. Due to the limited access to education growing up, I launched quite a bit of stuff. My wife and myself, we launched Build a Life Foundation, which the core mission is to put a school in every country in the world. Have quality, available education available to all humanity in their field of study. We have schools and we have students in Zambia, South Africa, the Caribbean, and so many other places. So today I stand here joining with this trust my mission of having 1 billion free courses available to people that don't have access to quality education. We focus on 8 basic areas. How do we master the 8 basic areas of life? How do we master personal development? How do we master business or career development? How do you master financial development? How do you master the area of health, your contribution? These are some of the areas of life I believe need to be mastered, and in a simple and effective way. We are set on that course to have 1 billion courses available to cities for free. In that case, thank you. I said that to say this. It's about when I went through the process of not having and not knowing where to access, I've come to the conclusion, it was a few things. It was the very first thing is, how do I live? But I had to switch at some point and said, how do I love? So my first mission was love unconditionally. Love God, my family, and humanity enough to share the love of Christ with them. That's my mission. How do I lead? What kind of a curve will we set for leadership? How do I learn to lead while teaching leadership? And number 3, how do we live our best life today? I will say this. It's not in the blowing of the wings that determine your destiny, but it's the setting of the sail. Today we have seen the launching of the Julian Irene Maniaca Endowment Trust. It will be setting sails for thousands and hundreds of thousands, probably millions of students and children in years to come. We have seen the fruits of the seed that was planted today in their children and their grandchildren and their descendants. We have a unique opportunity at a unique time to do something and to help set the sails of millions of young people globally. The question is that how it can be done. We are seeing the launching of the Endowment Trust. The question, rather, is how can I help? I believe we can all ask this question. How can I help? A seed that is planted is never seen again, but you see the fruits that it bears. Today is a very unique opportunity for us to plant some seeds. I can't hear you today. Seeds that will be planted here today, and I'm going to, with permission, seeds that are going to be planted here today will be seeds that will set the sail of millions of children in the future. We plant seeds with our love. We plant seeds with our kindness. We plant seeds with our support. But in a world where finance is so important, we must plant seeds with finances, what we will call money. Can I hear you? My speech today is to awaken you to not sit back and see another child with the lack of access to quality education. It may not have been you, but you can do something today with the vision and the mission of not seeing another child without access to quality education. Today, on behalf of Cycle University and Seminary, I'm here to represent Honorable Dr. Reverend Philip Finn of Cycle University and Seminary. And today we are honored to partner with the Junie and Irene Meneyaka Endowment Trust. This partnership will look forward to a lasting relationship from our Board of Governors and everyone that represents our university. We will be happy and we are elated to be a part of this movement, to be a part of this endowment. I will leave 3 things with you. And I will say this, 3 steps to change. Number 1 is awareness. We are all aware that something needs to be done. Number 2, it's understanding. Understanding that the urgency is now. I hope you'll agree with me that education is a very vital and important part of our development. Education in multiple areas of life. Number 3 is reconditioning. And we see right now it's an opportunity that we can recondition and retrain, that it is possible to achieve whatever you want to achieve. So I will say today, arise. The 5 C's of influence, I believe, is the center, the core, the committed, the concentrated, and the crowd, or the community. There is such a vast gap from the core to the community, and where partnership is needed, and where help is needed. Today we are in the room with a launch, which is the core. But then we have the community that need the services. I believe today we can have some committed people here. Today we can have some people that will go out to the masses, to the crowd, and share the message. The joy of understanding sovereignty is more than money. When we understand that we can be a sovereign people, and I believe today, with this launch, on behalf of Cycle University, we are honored once again to partner with the trust. And we will work and do everything that is needed to make progress a reality. One more thing, I'm like Paul in the Bible. Finally, brethren, I would like you not only to leave here today having a great lunch or enjoying the wonderful food and the amazing speech, but I'd like you to make a serious commitment in saying, I will support this trust financially. I'm not afraid to speak about finance. Okay? I'm not afraid to talk about money. So I will tell you today, if we were at the place we wanted to be, $1 million would have been nothing to raise in this room today. So that is why I said reconditioning. If I should ask for $1 million today to give to the trust, who can do it? Yet still, we are in the greatest city in the world, the greatest financial city in the world, New York City. So I encourage you to let's switch our thinking, switch our brains, and say, you know what? We can do more, we can be more, and we will do more, and we will be more. So don't leave here today without supporting the trust. Thank you so much.